Nice.
Welcome, everybody. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're excited to have Alan in today. And I just wanted to introduce our team a little bit. We are the Marchant Real Estate Group with eXp Realty. This is our office. And we're with Team Limitless, and we're all about creating a better agent experience. So we host these trainings so that we can provide value to the industry and just create an overall better agent experience. And I'm gonna have Shana come up and introduce Alan.
I'll introduce you.
Okay, no, I don't need an introduction. Okay, I want to introduce Alan Blood. Alan has been our trusted lender for 6 years now. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah, we just hit 6 years since I got my license, and I've been working with him from the very beginning. He's very knowledgeable in the industry. He is on top of everything, all the programs, very, very innovative ideas, and loves to collaborate with his agents. And we love working with him. So I'm excited for him to present to you guys today and to help us create lasting connections and to see what he has to hear. So, Alan.
Thanks, Shana. That was super nice.
Here's your
Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna give everybody that's here this, and those who are tuning in, I'm happy to share a digital copy. And you can follow along. All right. Well, with that, I need no further. So if I haven't met you before, as Shane said, I'm a mortgage broker. I've been doing mortgage lending for 27 years. A little while, a little bit. You look surprised. So I've seen some ups and downs and backs and forth, and have found that when the market gets a little bit unique, that it requires a different approach. And looking at different places to find different connections. But the people that I've seen that have had success across multiple changes in the market are those who have really great, long-running, deep connections. Like we've worked with Shane for 6 years, which is awesome. And so what I'd like to talk to you about today is some ideas that I have learned and that I use when I can. And would love to get your feedback, and then we'll do a little workshopping on some of those ideas so that we can come up with concepts together. There we go. That's my Instagram. If you are an Insta person and you just want to follow me on Instagram, please feel free to do so. Okay, let's talk about elevator speeches. What is an elevator speech? Oh, hey, here you go. Perfect. What is an elevator speech not? Hey, how are you? Good.
It is not a sales pitch, I know that.
Yes, it is not a sales pitch. You read the outline.
It's not long either.
So think about this: when you're in an informal social setting, and someone says, "So what do you do?" How do you answer that question? That's your elevator speech, right? When you're in a business meeting and you get an opportunity to stand up and introduce yourself, elevator speech. Yeah. Is it the same elevator speech?
Could be.
Maybe, depends, right? Maybe not though. This is going to be something that's going to differentiate you, that's going to introduce you to people and give them an opportunity to start a conversation. Really the key parts here are, what do you do and why do I care, right? What do you do and why it matters to me? Does anybody really care what you do? Honestly?
No.
No.
I feel like sometimes when they ask you what do you do, it's kind of like, how you doing?
Yeah, hey, what's up?
They don't even listen to the answer.
How's your day? It was terrible. Oh, great, good, thanks. Yeah, and if you say, what do you do? I'm a real estate agent. Oh, nice to meet you, right? So people don't really care what we do, right? What do they care about?
Who we are.
They care about themselves.
They don't care who we are. That'd be nice. We try to. About what about themselves? How do we fit into what they care about?
Yeah.
About their work, their family, what they're doing next.
And what we can
offer them.
what we can do for them, right? People don't care what we do. They care about what we can do for them. Just human nature, right? And so when people ask, what do you do? If they're not just being polite and saying, how's the weather? You know, how are you today? What's the only answer they're ever going to hear? Do they care what you do? No, what's the answer they're going to hear? What can I do for you? What can you do for me, right? They care about what we can do for them. So it's not what we do and how we do it, it's what can we do for them. So if that's the only thing you take away from this conversation today, it's a win, right? So when you're introducing yourself to somebody, stop and think about it. They really don't care. When someone says, what do you do? It's the exact same as, how are you today? Do most people really care? Do they really want to know how you're doing?
It's just a nicety.
It's a nicety, right? But every time someone asks you what you do, that's a connection opportunity, right? So you mentioned you play canasta to get more connections and more people. Think of how many people you're going to talk to in the next 7 days. The grocery store, wherever you might go, if you go to the dentist's office, whatever you're doing, how many people are you going to talk to in the next 7 days? And how many of those connections are you missing by not having a really good prepared way of explaining, here's what I do and why you should care? Does that make sense? So that's what I'd like to remember. The brief speech outlines what you do. And really, for people who do business with us, they want to know what's the outcome we provide, right? What's the outcome we provide? I'm a mortgage broker. Does anybody in this room want some debt? No. Does anybody call me because they're just hankering for some debt? They just can't get enough debt. They want more. Why are people calling me?
Information.
Information. What do they want from me though? What can I do for them?
Saving money.
Saving money? What's the end goal? You guys refer somebody to me. What's their end goal in talking to me?
Buy a loan.
Buy a house.
Buy a house, yeah.
And why do they want a house?
They want something that's their own. They want to stop renting.
Depends on the person.
It's security, something that's their own, building wealth, any of a variety of reasons, right? There's a really well-known Og Mandino, he's talked about this, and he was the originator of this phrase. People don't buy the drill, they buy the hole, right? So you don't go buy a drill, you don't go to Home Depot at night because you need a drill, you go to Home Depot at night because you need a hole. And the drill is a tool that gets you to what you need. So what do I do? What's the outcome I provide for people? Well, it depends on what they're looking for. If I'm talking to a group of investors, the outcome I provide for them is I'm providing for them cash flow, the opportunity to create long-term wealth. The tool I'm using is a mortgage, but the outcome has nothing to do with what I do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the tool you guys are using is a real estate license, but the outcome has nothing to do with what you do. The outcome is I want security. I want a place that I can raise my kids. I want a place for the dog. I'd really love to have different neighbors. I need more space so that I can work from home. And I'd like to have a quiet place I can work from. That's the outcome. So if we're focusing our introductions on what we do, anybody remember? How many realtors does everybody know? Like 900 agents per person, right? So many. And that's just their immediate first cousins.
Yeah.
So what do we do? What's the outcome we do? That's what we really want to focus when we're having these kind of opportunity conversations. So what's some mistakes that people make? Titles. Does anybody really care what your title is? Again, does anybody care about you?
No.
No, we want people to care. We want to be good people. We want to care. And we try and get in that headspace, but the reality is, don't care what your job title is. Not really. Does that have anything to do with the outcome you provide? Not really. So when people use titles that are kind of general, like I'm a realtor, I'm a mortgage broker, I'm a CPA, that's super exciting, right? That lists conversation, no? Or it goes the other way, like cute and fancy. Like I had to look up, I'm like, I want to find some crazy titles that people are using on LinkedIn. I'm a mansion maven. I can surmise what that might mean. I'm a new space consultant. Maybe you're a new space consultant. Somebody thought that sounded really catchy and cool and different, right? But does anybody care? Right? Does that tell anybody what you do? Does it communicate what you want to communicate? Probably
Sounds
not.
like you work for the government.
That's right. I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Yeah. So
New space.
yes. So be careful with titles and industry jargon. How much industry jargon is there in our industries? So many, right? So for example, how's this one? I'm an adept FTHB liaison dedicated to maximizing your ROI with expertise in the MLS and CMAs and focused on guiding you successfully from REMC to COE. That is not made up by me.
That's real.
That is real.
Wow.
That is real.
Was that on LinkedIn?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I have a question.
So many questions.
So I don't utilize LinkedIn because I
Yeah.
did in the past set one up but I set one up for real estate.
Okay.
And kind of what I saw where there's a lot of professionals on there trying to connect with other professionals,
Mhm.
right? So something like that might be good to try to connect with other professionals.
Maybe,
right?
maybe, depending on who you're connecting with, right? And maybe in that space it could be. So you're right. So you gotta craft your audience.
Yeah. Instagram though, there's no way
No.
that makes sense.
And even
Yeah.
on LinkedIn, I'm an FTHB liaison. I'm gonna tell you right now, outside of, does everybody here know what FTHB is?
No.
No.
First time home buyer,
Wow.
right? Your ROI with MLS and CMAs, people outside this room don't know what those mean. They don't care. What do they care about? They care about them and the outcome we provide.
I'm feeling smart.
Yes,
That doesn't make you feel
and,
smart.
and you read that and you don't know what that means, you feel dumb. You wanna talk to a person who's gonna make you feel dumb?
Yeah.
No, you do not wanna talk to a person who's making you feel dumb. You wanna talk to a person who speaks in fourth grade language,
Mhm.
right? There's a reason we elect the politicians we elect. They speak in fourth grade language, they know that. So again, industry jargon, be careful with that. Deal killer, this is the deal killer, this is it, rambling. So I'm gonna share a story with you. I had a social event that we were inviting some people to, and I invited two friends that I have. One of these friends is a very successful CEO, and the other one of my friends that I invited to this event was a guy who would be an excellent fit for a job that I knew my successful CEO friend needed to fill. And it so happened that my friend that was an excellent fit was looking for a job. And I called him up and I'm like, hey, you got to come to this. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. This will be your opportunity to guys just have a conversation. It goes great. Okay. So I tried to prep a little bit. So we're sitting there. I kind of orchestrated the opportunity to kind of have them both here, one on one side, one on the other. And I said, hey, friend number one, this is friend number two. You guys ought to know each other. Right? And friend number one goes, oh, well, what do you do to friend number two? And friend number two goes on a 5-minute explanation of team building and all this stuff. And he was nervous, but he just went on. And as I'm sitting here watching, and I'm trying to like, yeah, see, but I'm trying to like pull him back in. And the CEO friend, I could just see his eyes just glazing over, right? He was done about 12 seconds into the conversation. Was that effective? No, but the friend who was trying to create that connection felt like he needed to just get everything on the plate. Someone gave me an analogy one time, and this was about me, so I'll share it. I taught a class, and I said, what did you think about that class? And they go, well, I thought it was really good, but I felt like you spread out this beautiful Thanksgiving dinner, and then you tried to force feed me the turkey. Right? Do we ever do that with people? You've got all this stuff, we've got all these knowledge and bases and things we can provide, and all the stuff we know. And when you meet somebody, we want them to know, here's what I know, here's all the stuff I can do for you. Do they care what we can do? They care what the outcome is for them. And so we lay the table out, and then we try and stuff the turkey down their throat, and they don't care, and then they don't want it. And immediately, as soon as CEO friend could chew his arm off to get out of the trap that I put him in, he was out. And I reached out to him afterwards, and he was like, dude, he was like, come on, man. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. Give him another chance. He probably won't. Processes and modalities. When you introduce yourself, do you talk about processes and modalities? Here's what I do and how I do it. Think about when you stand up in a group of people and they say, you know, you're going around, you're at the Chamber of Commerce, you're at BNI group, you're at some business meeting, and they say, well, everybody gets 30 seconds to introduce yourself. Do that in those situations, right? Fairly often. We want to be in those situations as often as we can to create connections. And so you stand up and you say, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I help people find really great homes. And I have lots of experience, and I can work with you to help you find a house. How many times do you say the word I? And that sounds like 5. So do people care what you can do and what you know? They really don't. They care what's the outcome for them. So how we do what we do, it's like if you went to the restaurant and you ordered dinner, and you go to a nice restaurant, there's a place down here we like called the Tiburon. Have you been to the Tiburon? They have an excellent salad. And that salad comes with like a 3-page description, which is kind of cool. They're like, here's a salad, it's natural fennel with the sun-roasted tomato from our garden. And on top, we have artisanal cheese with some freshly cracked pepper. And I'm like, because I'm into it, I'm like, yes, this is great. I want some artisanal cheese and freshly cracked pepper, because they know their audience, right? And I want to hear their process. But when I go to dinner somewhere, I don't want to be like, okay, here's what's in the sausage. We took it to the factory, and then we had to grind everything up, and we put these. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But when we introduce ourselves, we tell people what we do. How often are we telling them how the sausage is made? Probably pretty often, because that's just the default. So we're talking about processes and modalities. We want to talk about benefits and outcome. Does that make sense? Okay, so what's the goal? We want to invite pursuit. We have these opportunities to introduce. We want to invite pursuit, right? We want people to ask us questions. So how are we going to get people to ask us questions? That's really the real kicker here, right? It's not by rambling. It's not by selling. It's not by talking about processes and modalities, right? So what is it? Vivid benefits and clear results. So nobody cares about what you do. They care about what you will do for them and how they will feel when you do it for them. And that's important. When you tell people what you do, how often do you tell people how they're going to feel when you help them? I've got a lot of clicks on this slide. How often do you get into how you help people feel? If it's not often, if that's not your natural thing, this is something you want to think about. What's the outcome you're going to have? Well, I help first-time home buyers be able to feel really comfortable in a home that's going to be a place for them to grow and have stability and just feel at home, right? Is that better than I'm going to help first-time home buyers navigate a very difficult market to buy a home at a very competitive price? You see the difference? Results and outcome again. How are they going to feel the results and outcome? Yes, please. So give your name. I follow you on Instagram.
Yeah, I know, I follow you.
I like your stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's up, bro? What's up, bro? We're Insta buds now. We're flipping a house, right? Or you did?
Building.
Okay, there we go.
So I mean, I just, something along these lines, like I focus hard on making sure everybody I work with knows exactly what's going on, the communication process, and making sure that they ask me questions. And when I had, I mean, I'm a new agent, but my feedback from other clients is that, and when other people talk to me, like, oh, we know that you're going to help us understand everything.
And that's a big deal. But why do they care? How does that make them feel?
Makes them feel like they can navigate.
They're in control. They're the hero of the story. We're not the hero of the story. We're not, this is what I can do for you. This is what you can do with my help. This is how I can help you do this stuff, right? So take the same idea. You're doing a buyer's meeting or you're doing a listing or a buyer's presentation. How much of your time in that presentation are you talking about processes and modalities? This is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, 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 and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And if that person you're talking to happens to have this much ADHD, how much did they hear? Personally, I can tell you 0, right? But instead, if you say, okay, here's the process, there's 4 steps, there's a lot of things going behind, but here's how you're going to know that you're in charge. Here's how you're going to feel as we get through these. Here's how I'm going to help you feel comfortable. Like, what's their pain points, and are we addressing them in that process? Or are we talking about processes and modalities? And I'm going to tell you, for 27 years of doing this, I would say 95% of what our industry does in the real estate and the mortgage side is talk about processes and modalities to our customers, and they don't care. And it's super confusing. And I see people go and work with people who I go, why is this person working with that particular service provider? That service provider is not very smart. Well, I just answer the question. They talk at a very basic level, and people can understand it. And then we come along, we go, hey, let me tell you all these things I can do and all this stuff, and this process is gonna be amazing, and how I'm gonna help you understand the numbers. They don't care. They don't want to understand the numbers. They want to feel in a particular way because of the outcome we provide. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I keep beating that dead horse. Okay, they don't want a mortgage, they want a home. They don't want to drill, they want holes. So again, that's why you go to Home Depot. You buy the destination, you've heard this, you buy the destination, not the plane. Don't sell the plane. Don't sell the plane tickets. Don't sell the process of walking through Terminal B. Don't explain to them, listen, here's what you got to do. You're going to have to go, I'm going to go on a trip somewhere. I want my travel agent that we work with to be like, hey, here's the destinations. Here's the stuff you do. Here's your tickets. We've got this all lined up. You guys just go have fun. I don't need them to tell me, okay, so you're going to have to get your bags. You're going to go up to this bag check person. They're going to take it. They're going to put a ticker on. They're going to stick it in. They're going to run it through. And then you're going to start walking. You're going to walk to your gate. You're going to go through security. Somebody might offer at security to get you through clear. You can choose that or not. You choose. But then you're going to walk through security over here. When you do, they're going to direct you to a line. When you get to that line, they're going to have you take your shoes off. And some airports, they won't take your shoes off. They might make you take your shoes off, depending on how old you are. They're going to take your shoes off, maybe or maybe not. And then you got to take your computer stuff out, right? So you're going to take your computers. You're going to go through security, and then when you're security, you're going to pick your stuff up. Don't forget to leave anything in security, because if you do, you got to walk all the way back. You put your belt back on, you tie your shoes on. You might want to wear shoes that you can slip on instead of shoes you have to tie on. And if you've got metal, maybe different shoes would be good. Okay, and then now you've got your stuff back on. So now you're going to walk down to the concourse. You're going to look at this screen. It's good. Do you see where I'm going with this? Does this sound like a buyer's presentation that somebody you may know may have presented?
It sounds like a friend of mine.
right? Sounds like somebody I know really so well.
Didn't like, she just like, oh, is this ever gonna end?
And so, and yes, right? And so when you have these opportunities to talk to people, whether it's this infomercial you're giving, or whether it's your buyer or listing presentation, stop and think that through in your head. Right? Are we talking about process and modalities, or are we talking about benefits and outcome? Because if you're talking about process and modalities, take that and make that 2%. Because how many of you want to go on that trip I just described? What if the trip you're like, I'm ready to go?
I want you to go through what may or may not happen with TSA.
I've got kids who forget to clean their backpacks out. So I've got stories about what happens with TSA. We've shipped a lot of stuff home at the end of TSA that they pulled out of the backpack. And I was like, I'm sorry, officer, I'm sorry. Please just let us ship this butterfly knife home that my 16-year-old thought was a great idea to pack in his carry-on. So when you're going through this again, just think, not processing modalities, benefits, outcome. Does that make sense? Easy. Does it sound easy? Is it easy to do?
I think it's counterintuitive. because
Yes.
As you're describing this process, I'm like, well, this is all the stuff I tell myself I need to know.
Mhm.
In order to be able to work with clients, is to tell them all of these things in every step in every process. So I think it's counterintuitive.
It is, but if you go to the buyer's presentation, they say, okay, let's talk about how you're gonna buy a home. What you're gonna do is we're gonna go out and I'm gonna send you stuff. I'm gonna set you up on this thing on the MLS. You're gonna get CMAs every day, and we're gonna go through, we're gonna look at it, and you're gonna choose some houses. You're gonna tell me what you want to choose, and then we're gonna go and select some of those homes. Then we're gonna go walk through 3 or 4 homes, maybe on a Saturday, maybe on a Friday or Thursday. It's up to you. We'll schedule it depending on, but I've got soccer on Tuesday, so maybe on Saturday, but it'll really depend on when you want to go. We could go Sunday if you have to, but maybe on Saturday, and then we're gonna go walk through. Now, there might be an open house, or there might not. If there's an open house, we might have to schedule. Does this, you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Have you said this to people? I tell you, you have. So now you know, right? It wasn't your fault. You didn't know. Now you know. Process and modalities out the window. Benefits and outcome, keep those in, and you'll be amazed at the way that people respond to you. Key questions you want to answer when you're doing your introduction. Who do you help? What are their pain points? What are the result and outcome? And why are you the go-to person? By the way, I have this logo at the bottom of it because I got this slide from some of this information from a friend of mine named Mike Burnett, who runs a high-level mastermind group called Prosper 360. And he's awesome. And if any of you are interested in information on the high-level mastermind group, here's his commercial. I asked if I could use his stuff. And he said, sure, give me credit. So here's his credit. If you want to know more about it, it's awesome. It's a great group of people I've been connected with. Look at that number 1. Who do you help? The riches are in the niches. So if you say, I help people buy real estate, is that a niche?
Nope.
What if you say, I help small business owners find homes that will work for their business? Is that a niche? Right? A little bit more. So the concern I think that we have sometimes is if we niche down to a small group of people, everyone but that group thinks we can't help them. So if you say something like, you know, I really can help affluent buyers get into the home they want to get into with a pretty affordable payment. If I can help an affluent buyer, can I help your first-time home buyer? Probably. If my pitch is, I'm an expert at helping people buy multiple rental properties so they can develop long-term wealth. Well, can I also help a first-time home buyer? Probably. But if I say I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, does the person who want to buy 4 rental properties want to talk to me? No. You can, so pick your top. You can always go down, right? But you know, pick the group you want to talk to. Now, if I'm in a group of people and I say, one of the things I'm really good at is helping affluent buyers get financing in a difficult financing market for self-employed borrowers. What do you now know about me? I do that. What if you have a person you work with that fits that exactly? Am I more likely to get that referral than if I say, yeah, I can really help a lot of people with mortgage financing? Does that make sense? So depending on the group you're talking to, figure out what are the niches you want to work with. What's that avatar look like? You guys familiar with the concept of the avatar? Figure out who your avatar, your person is you're marketing to. What are their pain points? What's that niche going to look like for that group you're presenting to? And then that's the way you craft your pitch. And if the group you're presenting to is your, I almost said canasta, so offensive. Pinochle is your pinochle group, or is your church group, or is your neighborhood that you're walking around in. Just craft your message for that group, and you'll be surprised at the great outcome. So, what are their pain points? What are people's pain points when we're helping them get real estate? Do you know what your clients' pain points are? Not guess. Do you know what their pain points are? How are you going to know what your clients' pain points are? What can you do? Ask. So if you haven't done this, here's what I'd recommend. Look at your book of business. Pick your last 5 people that you really liked working with. The people you loved working with, they were awesome to work with. And then call those 5 people up and say, hey, listen, do you mind if we jump on a Zoom call? I just want to record our conversation because I'd really like to get some information from you, if you wouldn't mind sharing with me. Why did you choose to work with me? What was your experience working with me? What were the things that were difficult for you about this process? And what did you find you probably worked with other real estate agents? What was different working with me versus working with them? What kind of things did I do differently? And what are your concerns when you were buying a home? What was going through your head? What were your concerns? Why would I do that on Zoom instead of face-to-face? Well, body language, you get face-to-face, but what do you get on Zoom? You don't get face-to-face. You get a recording, so you can go back and look. If you interview 5 people, well, now you can go back and watch those. And if there's 3 or 4 phrases that keep popping up, do you now know what your client's pain points are? Absolutely, right? And you know not just what people's pain points are, but you know what the pain points are of the people you want to work with. And now you can craft your message and your niche towards the people you want to work with, so you can attract more of those people rather than just casting the wide net of I work with everyone. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So what are the pain points? What are the results? What are the outcome? And then lastly, why are you the person they need to talk to? Which kind of goes back to that pain point conversation, right? Because if you understand those pain points, you've told them the answer already. Because you're the one who's going to help them navigate it. How much time? I'm sorry, we're going along. All right. Here's the why you. So I got this from a really excellent. She's a brand manager, and her podcast is called The Affluent Effect. And she spoke at a conference I was at, and I listened to her and just picked her brain. And this is what she talked about. I hadn't seen it this way before. So here's what her suggestion is. This circle is you and everything you do awesome, right? This circle is your competition and everything they do that's awesome. And you'll notice there's some overlap, right? This circle is what the client really wants. Does this make sense? Mm-hmm. Most people might think this is the place to go. But who are you competing with right here? Everybody. Is there somebody out there? I know we're all awesome. Is there somebody out there who might be better at what they do in general terms than you are? Who might have a better name? Who might have more billboards or more signs in the neighborhood? Is there somebody who's in that boat? You want to compete with that person? I don't. I don't want to compete with billboards up and down I-15. What I want to do is I want this. I want what I do great, where I'm in my sphere of excellence, where I'm really good, that the client wants, that my competition doesn't do. Does that make sense? So what differentiates me? What can I say that no one else can say? If you come up with what your pitch or your presentation is going to be, write it down, and then substitute the name of any other real estate agent in there. And if it's still true, not good, right? Because what you've done is you put yourself squarely right here. Does that make sense? So when you're, and do the same thing, you got a website? Can you put somebody else's name in your website and it's still true? Can you put somebody else's name in your buyer presentation and it's still true? Does that make, do you see where I'm going? Can someone else give your pitch and it's still true? If the answer is yes, maybe there would be some work you could do to refine that so you aren't competing anymore, because you're just defining yourself and your services as the place that you're awesome, that the client wants, and that somebody else isn't doing. So what is it about you that makes you the go-to person? What's your awesomeness? Does that make sense, you guys? This is another really valuable lesson that I learned. And I'm trying to do this better. This is harder to do than I would have thought. Like all truth, it looks simple, but the implementation of it takes a little effort. So that's what I think about this. Okay, and if you want to follow her podcast, again, it's The Affluent Effect. She's very, very bright. Okay, so this is in the handout you got. Let's talk about this for a second. You're gonna craft your captivating elevator speech. If you don't have this, I'd be happy. I'll send it around, and actually maybe you can share it with those who attended if they would like.
Yeah, I actually scanned it.
Oh, nice.
Send it to the people.
Thank you. Okay, so look at this. Who's your target market? So this is your avatar. Who is it you want to be talking to? Now we all, let's be honest, I'll help anybody get a mortgage. It's November in 2023. You got a pulse and you want to make an application, I'm your guy, right? You want to go look at a house, I can guarantee I bet any of you would be happy right now if you had somebody wanting to go look at a house that were semi-qualified, you'd be there showing them the house, right? You get that lead from Realtor.com, you're gonna go, because that's the market right now. But who do you want to be working with? What does that person look like? So who's your target market? Who do you want to be working with? You want to work with people who are fun, people who are retired and playing Pinochle? Yeah. So that's your target market. Like, who is the person you want to work with? Number two, what is that person's pain points? And you probably can make a pretty good guess, right? What are their pain points in the sphere of what you're offering? So in the sphere of helping them buy a home, a rental property, buying their retirement home, buying their second home in St. George, whatever that may be, what are the pain points that person is experiencing? What are the results and outcome you can provide, which is going to directly address these, right? And why are you the person who can provide that? Does that make sense? Let's take a minute, write some stuff down. Let's take 3 minutes. We could make 4. 1 minute per grid. Some very smart person showed me how to make my wife's calls and texts always make sounds, which I thought was good. Was it heard? Yes.
What if we have no idea what our target market is? For example, I have helped a widow, I've helped a divorcee, I've helped family. I don't really have a target. So how do I decide?
That's a great question. Who do you want to work with? Which type of client that you worked with would you like to work with more?
Well, I liked all of them. I
Okay.
enjoy working with all of
So
them.
if you're going to go and target one of those groups, would you target people who have been recently widowed that just need some assistance to work through that very difficult bereavement process and deal with real estate? Would you target people who are wanting to buy a home for their family of 4? Like, what group do you want to be working with? If you could pick to work with one group, who would that group be?
I have to say friends and family. I feel more comfortable being with a friend and a family than somebody that I don't know.
So what I want you to do on this is, when you say friends and family, who are those people besides their connection to you, right? Like, what are those people like? Is your target market 40 to 55-year-old people who work in South Davis County and who really enjoy getting together for social events? Does that make sense? So let's define beyond just they happen to know you, because what this is going to help you do is step outside of friends and family. Because friends and family are great, and friends and family can be great referral sources. But in this market where people have 3% rates on their homes, a lot of our friends and family, our database is not moving. In past times, you could look at your database and say, okay, on average, people are going to move about every 5.5 years. I could look at my database and I knew that mortgage loans pay off every 3.8 years. So I could take my database, divide it by 4, and that's how many people were going to do mortgages this year. Right now, so many people in my database have a 2 or 3% rate. They're not going to refinance. And they're probably also not going to move. So the value of these past client databases that we might have built over the years, for those of who've been in business for a while, the value of those for the purposes of creating repeat clients from within that database is significantly reduced. But they can still be excellent sources of connecting us with other people. And so then the question becomes, okay, what kind of people do we want them to connect us with? Kimberly, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the way that I would approach this. And this is your pitch, so you do it however you want.
Okay.
Okay, so target market. Should we give it another couple minutes, guys? Everybody still writing? This is a small page, but it's actually kind of hard to do if you haven't really thought about it. I've thought a lot about it. The first time I tried to do this, I was like, I was in the same boat, Kimberly. I was like, I don't really know. I don't really know who it is. And so I had to go through this exercise several times, just mentally, and talk with people about it to really figure it out. So that's okay if you're not sure. Start with something.
Are we working on page 2 yet?
Nope, we're not on page 2, just page 1. Dude, A student, and I knew we were Insta buddies, you already got stuff filled out.
I didn't do my name yet, though.
Okay, yeah, you got your name at the top of the paper, but like the teacher can't grade it. I've learned that, you can't stick it in the box as late work, they don't take that anymore.
That's the difference between a plus and a minus.
Yeah, that's it, name and date. Okay, 1 more minute, then we'll move on.
What is today?
15.
I just looked.
Yes, it is a 15.
11:50?
Put the date on it for you, because you might do this again. And you can kind of go back and compare. That's what I've done. I've done this several times and I go back and I'm like, oh, I've refined my process. And maybe I missed out on something I did previously. This isn't a one-time deal here. This is a starting point. Just okay, anybody ready to share? Maybe want to share?
Jeff, no.
Sure.
Jeff, who did you put on? Who's your target market?
Portfolio builders, buy and hold investors.
Okay, what are the pain points that person experiences?
Lack of education or information, and then kind of on the same lines, misinformation.
Okay.
And they don't want to do it alone.
Okay, what are the results that you provide?
Security and options for their future and freedom,
And why are you the only person that they should talk to?
because I've already done it myself.
There's your pitch. Done, right? Does that make sense? Crushed it. Hey, student, Ian, what do you got? Who's your target market?
Oh, it's not as good as that.
Let's share it.
New home buyers and
Okay.
tellers, investors.
Okay. What I want you to do later is I want you to pick one of those and I want you to define that down. New home buyers who shop at Harmon's and are in the engineering or accounting field. New home buyers who have dual working couples that have no kids and are dog parents. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's who I'm talking about.
Perfect. Yeah, I want you to define this down because the pain points of a new home buyer that doesn't have kids but are dog parents, are those different pain points than a new home buyer with 2 kids at home?
Yeah.
Super different. And if you're talking to the pain points of your target market, right? If you're talking about first-time home buyers and you're generic about it, you're probably not going to capture either one. Because the one with kids are like, fur babies aren't even babies. The one with fur babies are like, kids suck. And so talk to your audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's target market. Awesome. What is your pain points for that market that you've defined?
Well, this kind of defines it a little bit, but
Perfect.
can't afford, don't understand,
Okay,
communication and too expensive.
okay. Results and outcome you provide.
Communicate. Humility with the team,
Okay,
meaning like, I'm not afraid to reach out to my team,
okay,
open schedule.
okay. Do those results directly resolve the pain points you mentioned? Are there pain points that you mentioned that aren't in your results? Because I can think of one you said.
What's the one?
Too expensive. So if the main pain point of your buyers is it's too expensive to buy a home, is the results you're providing helping them address that? Are you telling them how they're going to address that pain point? Does that make sense? Because if that's the main pain point, well, then you better have a way that you're going to help explain, here's how I address this pain point. Because if you can, if nobody else is talking about that and you're talking about it, what happens? You're the differentiator, right? Because you understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, Ian, why are you the go-to person? Why are you the only person they should talk to?
Well, I work 24/7.
Okay,
I have. Can't understand that. So.
your hand right into you.
I have a knowledgeable team,
Okay,
so I rely heavily on.
so I'm gonna pick on you again here, and I appreciate volunteering. Do your target audience care that you work 24/7? Do they care you work 24/7? What do they care about?
That communication, that if they can ask me anything.
Do they care that they can ask you questions? What's the results for them? Is the result that they're asking you questions? Or what's
It's
the
like the
result?
way I present it is like, hey, you know, it's like if it's 10 o'clock and that comes in at 10 o'clock, the contract, I'll let you know.
So I think what you're trying to say is I'm gonna be available and answer your questions on your schedule. But what you're saying is I work all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So you're talking about your process and your modality. Your modality is I work and I'm available. But the outcome isn't that you work and you're available. The outcome is I'm going to answer your questions on your schedule.
Now, that only matters if one of their,
Huge difference.
and it only matters if one of their pain points is, I want somebody who will work on my schedule. If they don't care, if they don't care if you answer them now or tomorrow morning, have you addressed a pain point for them? No, you've addressed what you assume was a pain point, right? So you gotta find, but I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all that. So what's the outcome, not the process? Does that help? Okay, anybody else want to go?
I got one comment on that.
Yeah, please, Jeff, jump in.
The way, I like the way he kind of recrafted that you're available for them. Because when agents talk about how busy they are and they work all the time, then that leaves it up for interpretation on their part to say, well, you're probably too busy for me then.
Yeah.
I heard somebody explain this one time. I was asking if they could schedule, like, well, my schedule is rigidly flexible. They're like, there's a lot of things I have to do every day, but I can pick when I'm going to do them. So I can accommodate what you need. I was like, oh, I really like that. They're rigidly flexible in their schedule, and that might not be your phraseology, but again, what's your pain? Anybody else want to share? Now I picked Ian apart. That was awesome.
No, that's great.
Anybody else got anything? Shana, you written anything down you want to share? I'll pick on you.
I'm scared. So James and I are talking, we want to focus on move ups,
Okay, so move ups being,
like upgrading or converting their current home to a rental and then.
okay. So let me ask you a question. If you're not sure what that person looks like, where could you go to find out from your phone or your computer? Trick question, because I know the answer, you probably don't. How about ChatGPT?
I wish I had ChatGPT for this assignment,
Right.
actually.
Right? Could you go to ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, give me the criteria of what a move-up buyer might look like in Davis and Weber County? What are those criteria like? And it'll just give you some brainstorming ideas. And so, like the reason I mentioned earlier, Ina Harmon's, when you're talking about who's my avatar going to be, okay, where do these people shop? Do they shop at Harmon's or are they Smith shoppers? Right? Are they Target or Walmart? What do they drive? Are they driving minivans or are they driving Suburbans? What are they doing on Saturday mornings? Are they going to the movies or are they going to soccer games? Where do they spend their Sunday afternoons? Are they playing games at home with the family, or are they going out and visiting family and driving around? Or are they having family come into them? Does that make sense? The more you can kind of get in the headspace, please, Jeff.
I got an idea on that. Because you could specifically target neighborhoods where people bought in that neighborhood more than 10 years ago.
Perfect.
That isn't the move up neighborhood.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then dig in. Okay, and the reason I want you to dig into what are these people doing with their time? If you can get into the headspace and be like, okay, my target audience, this is the conversation my target audience is having at night before they go to bed. This is the inner dialogue they're having about making decisions. How valuable would that be if you could just get yourself in that headspace? Because now you can talk directly to them using their words, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so your move up audience, that's who you're looking for. And again, what kind of an income level are these people at? What does their family look like? Kids, no kids? Like what's the group you want to? So dial that down. Okay, perfect. So there's your target audience. What is the pain points for that group of people, the move up buyer?
We're tagging it.
Okay, go for it, Dan.
So the one that came to my mind is like low interest rate. They don't want to swap that out.
Okay, what's the real pain point there?
They don't
2 mortgage payments.
want to pay any more money out of their pocket than they have to.
Okay, why not?
Because they're either comfortable where they're at or they want to. I'm not quite sure. Or they want to save more money, or
Okay.
they're working on something.
So let's talk about this dichotomy because we're all facing this right now. We've got a home. We could sell this home for $620,000. I'd love to buy the $875,000 house, but the rates are so high, the payment's just out of reach. Well, what are these people forgetting? They're forgetting that when you move from a $650,000 house to an $875,000 house, your payment will go up regardless of what rates are. And what they're doing when they talk to me is they're saying, oh yeah, man, the payment's gonna go up by $1,400 a month. I don't think we can afford that. Okay, well, let's dissect that for a minute. The payment's going up by $1,100 a month because you're buying $200,000 more home. It's going up another $400 a month because the rate's higher. So we're not talking about a $1,500 swing here. We're talking about a $400 swing between the house you want to be in and the house you're in, even in a good interest rate market. And that's a different conversation, right? So the pain point might be that they don't understand how it can fit in their budget, right? Maybe that's a pain point. Or they're afraid that number will not fit in their budget. Is that a pain point? And that might stop them from ever even looking because they're afraid that they don't know the answer and they don't really want to know. Okay, keep going.
Well, I was thinking like they have equity in their house, and let's say they have car payment and credit card,
Mhm.
and that all of those, once they're all consolidated or whatever, using the equity. And their new payment is actually less than what they were. Kind of.
Okay,
pointing
so
at.
now you're talking process and modalities. What's the outcome? What's the outcome that you're gonna help them get?
A new home.
You're gonna help,
Passive or
you're gonna help
rental
people
income.
that have been in a home that feel like they've outgrown their home. And would love to move, but don't understand how they could make that fit in their budget, and you're gonna help them find a solution to get in the home they want at a budget they can afford. Is that an outcome? Okay, cool. Why are you the go-to person? Why are you the only person they should ever talk to? Why are you ashamed of that team of teams?
Because.
We know people.
We know a guy.
We know a guy.
This is a lot easier when somebody else is talking.
It is.
And that was my initial thought, I'm like, this would be so much easier if like I'm telling somebody else like what these answers are.
So that's an excellent point. So here's what I would recommend. There's a bunch of people in this room, everyone needs some help, grab somebody.
Yeah.
And be like, tell me what I should do. It's so much easier for me to see this for somebody else than it is for my own, because we're detached, we're not emotional about it. Those aren't our words that we're critiquing, it's somebody else's words. I can critique somebody else's words all day long, but my words are pretty much perfect, right?
And your partner goes home with you at night.
Yeah, so your words are both your words. And so find somebody and say, hey, I'm happy to be your third party. If you guys have stuff like this, if you want to do this individually, throw it at me. Let's do it. Let's have this conversation one-on-one. And people that are listening, let's go through this exercise. It won't take long. And if I can help you craft that down. So then what are the results? Why are you the go-to person? What makes you unique? What puts you right here? Does that make sense? And if you're not sure what that answer is, that's where you need to spend some time. What puts me right here? Because if you can figure out what's puts me right here. So Ian, what puts me right here is I've lived your life. I'm raising the fur baby and we're building a house, and I've learned some really good lessons because I am you 3 years from now. And I'm going to step back in time and help you avoid the mistakes I made. Only you can say that, right?
Can you record that?
We did.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
We did, right? So what can you say? And we all think, well, I'm a realtor, I can't say anything. No, you can't. You're the only pinochle playing network realtor I've ever met in my life. Right? That makes you different. And there's going to be people like, oh, I want to work with somebody who plays pinochle because I know something about that person and they're fun and they like talking to groups of people, and I'm fun and I like talking to groups of people, right? What's the outcome you provide by who you are? What makes you different? Why are you the go-to person? All right, you guys have an idea of what we're doing here?
Yes.
All right, let me give you some examples. So here's some frameworks now to go from what you have here to what we have on page 2. There's a couple of different frameworks. Number one, simplicity. This came from a guy named Bryce Prescott. He runs a company that helps people build podcasts. And James, you've been in some meetings with Bryce. I follow him. He likes colorful language, and he goes on and on about some stuff sometimes, but I like what he has to say. He's a smart guy, way smarter than I am. In fact, you might have been in the meeting where he talked about this. What's the problem you solve? Who do you help and what problem do you solve? Who do you help and what problem do you solve? So how could you craft that? Well, I work with blank who, whatever. I work with people who own a home who feel like they've outgrown it. Does that paint a story? Somebody else said, and I couldn't find who to attribute this to, they said, never tell a story without a purpose, or never tell a story without a goal, and never have a goal without a story, right? So if you can put a story into your very short thing, and the story is, I work with people who owned a home for longer than they planned on and feel like they've outgrown it, but they think they're stuck. Did I just tell a story? Can somebody who's in that situation emotionally put themselves into that story, right? So I work with, I help first-time home buyers who'd like to build a new home, but they're not sure where to start. I find great patio homes for people who are ready to move out of the house where they raise their kids and have more comfortable senior living. Could that be a place, right? So who do you help? And then what problem you solve? And I do that by, so maybe I would say, I help people who want to buy 3 rental properties to build their wealth by finding excellent places for them to put their money in the real estate market. I help first-time home buyers who want to buy a new home but aren't sure where to start to make that a lot easier for them to do. You see how we just kind of put these problems together. And there's a million more. So really simple. It's one sentence. It's a bit of a run-on sentence. Do we talk in run-on sentences? I talk in nothing but. I talk in all run-on sentences. But when we write stuff out, do we write stuff in run-on sentences? No, because the English teacher told us that was bad. So when we write these things out, we might write them out in very concise, grammatically correct English. But do we talk like that? Well, if you do, that's how you should do it. If you don't, use plain English. Now, what if you're like me? So I studied economics and I went to law school. And I spent 3 years getting it drilled into my head how to write things no one could understand but somebody who went to law school. And I write like I'm writing for people who went to law school. Is that useful to you or my clients? No, it's not. I'm very verbose. I go on, I get on tangents. I think about what ifs, which is super useful when I'm trying to help a client, but I should keep that crap to myself. That's my process and modality. They don't care about that. They care about the outcome. Now, what I can tell them is I'm going to help you avoid a lot of pitfalls because I can understand them having experienced that, and I can think through that process for you and guide you to the end. Now, they care about that, right? They don't care about how I do it. So if you're not sure how to put something into plain English, what's a good tool you could use?
ChatGPT.
You could take what you write out, you could go type it into ChatGPT, you could say, rewrite this in language a fourth grader can understand. So there was an interesting study that was done. This is not a political commentary, but somebody went and they looked at our current and previous 2 presidents. And they plugged a lot of stuff in because AI can do all these interesting things. And they plugged in and said, okay, what is the grade at which these people speak? Okay. Obama, 9th grade level. Biden, 7th grade level. Trump, 4th grade level. Why does Trump appeal to so many people? He is very easily, he's got a clear message and it's easily understood. That's it. So you want to appeal to people, what do? Clear message, make it easy to understand. Dumb it down, make it easy to talk like you're talking to your friend, your neighbor, your kids, your spouse, whoever it may be, and just having a normal conversation. Get rid of all the fanciness, all the professional whatnots, and dumb it down, make it really simple, just be a human being about it. Okay, plain English. Framework number 2. This came from my friend Mike Burnett, who runs this mastermind group that we got this outline from. His framework that he brought up was questions. Like, instead of somebody saying, what do you do? And you go, oh, I'm a realtor. His idea was, well, you know how so many people are really stressed about how to understand what's going on with the real estate market right now? I solved that problem. Is that a listening conversation? How about this one? You're a fitness coach. This was his example. You know how so many people in their 40s and 50s just want to lose that extra 10 to 15 pounds? I helped them finally lose that weight for good. Did that fitness coach talk about how their pricing is great and what their schedule is going to be in their process and modality? Not one bit. Story, process, outcome. Their story, outcome, and result. That was it. So how can you use this when you're doing a pitch, when you're doing your presentation? Are there ways you can start with a question? How many people have ever heard somebody introduce themselves with a question? Probably not a ton, right? Is that going to be a little different? Is it going to feel uncomfortable? So somebody was, another thing I was talking to was cross your arms. Do this, just cross your arms. Okay, now cross them the other way. How awkward is that?
I don't even think I switched.
I bet you as I'm watching,
Right back there.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you watching you, 3 of you didn't switch. You thought you did. Is there a true and correct way to cross your arms? Is there anything particular about doing that? I know you have to think about it, right?
Does it look the same?
It looks exactly the same. Does
That's
it
the
feel
same.
super? Does it feel so awkward and weird?
Yes.
Okay, get used to it. You want to survive in a weird market, get used to it. Do some awkward and weird things. You want to do some awkward and weird things tomorrow morning when you wake up? Use the other hand to brush your teeth.
I do that all the time.
Perfect. You're already there, right? Get used to some discomfort. If it feels a little uncomfortable, that could be a really good sign. So the idea of introducing yourself with a question, does that maybe feel a little awkward and uncomfortable? Maybe. Great. Is that bad? No, there's no true and correct way to introduce yourself, but maybe this could be one that would work for you depending on the environment group you're in. So the question, introducing yourself with a question. And then the third framework here, again, simplify, simplify, simplify. This is the professional pitch. Have any of you heard of a woman named Forbes Riley?
Yeah.
If you have watched a fitness infomercial that was produced in the 80s or 90s. You've seen Forbes Riley. So she sold $2.5 billion worth of product, a fitness product on infomercials. She was the original infomercial pitch person. So now she has a company that she calls 1 Minute to Millions. She does podcasts, and you can find her on social media, and you can pay to join her group. And I have, and there's some great information there if you're interested in this concept. She's great. I've had the opportunity to meet her a couple of times at different events, and she's great. She knows her stuff. Here's her framework. This is her framework. As a blank, I'm known as blank because blank, for example, blank, right now what I'm doing is X. This will take you about 55 seconds to say. And all you gotta do is fill in the blanks. And you fill in the blanks. Where are you gonna get the information to fill in the blanks? Right there, right? So let me give you some examples of what I've done with these pitches. You should have 3 versions of this, by the way. And you might have 50 versions, but you should have at least 3. You should have the pitch version, which is less than 10 seconds, which is what you say when someone says, what do you do? Right now, when somebody says, what do you tell them? How many of you say, I'm a real estate agent? I'm a realtor. Is that your default go-to? What do you do for a living? I'm a realtor. Oh, okay. Have an answer for that question that's not your job title. That's this stuff we're talking about. So there's your 10-second version. The 20, 30-second version, maybe that's a little bit more of a formal business environment. You're at a networking meeting with other professionals, and you're walking around talking to people and say, well, this is what I do. What do you do? Right? So you got a little bit longer, maybe more full version of it. And then you've got the minute version, which is when you go to the Chamber of Commerce and you stand up at the beginning and you say, hi, my name is Alan, and this is what I do. Does that make sense? Have at least 3 versions of this. And then if you're involved in different groups or you find yourself in different settings, you might refine those for your audience. Because if I'm talking to a group of real estate agents, I'm definitely going to pitch differently than if I'm talking to a group of CPAs, right? Because it's a different conversation. They have different pain points. They're looking for different information. So here's, what did I just tell you with that, by the way? I don't know if anybody caught that. Get in front of a lot of groups. The more people you can get in front of, you ever have an opportunity to get in front of a group for any purpose whatsoever, is your answer ever no? What if you're wildly uncomfortable being in front of a group and talking? Is your answer going to be no? No. You can get in front of a group for any purpose. I don't care what that purpose is. They invite you to come to speak to anything. There's an opportunity to be in front of a group of 2 people, 10 people, 30 people, 1,000 people. Yes, yes, yes. Be uncomfortable, get in front of groups, because if you're in front of groups and you have these pitches down well, what's the chances that if you're in front of enough groups, there's going to be people that are in these niches you're talking about, they're going to go, oh, I need that, right? You've exponentially improved your opportunities. So get in front of every group you can. And this is your tool to do it. And if you're really uncomfortable being in front of a group, great. I'm going to give you 60 seconds. You can get up and talk. That's easy. Get in front of a group. Okay, so here's my quick version, an example of that. I have working professionals that are just tired of renting. They feel like they're falling behind, so they can get affordable mortgage financing with a really simple, fast process. So they can buy a home and start building some wealth. Did I say I'm a mortgage broker? Did I talk about my great rates and low cost? No, I didn't, because that's not the outcome they care about. People care about simple, they care about fast, they care about affordable. I'm trying to tell the story, working professionals. I don't really like to work with people that don't have jobs. Right? Not my favorite. Working professionals, I like working with people who are professionals, engineers and CPAs, and accountants and teachers and people who have jobs and maybe pay their bills on time, right? Because those are good clients for all of us. So they're tired of renting. Are there people going to hear that and go, yeah, I'm tired of renting? And they feel like they're falling behind. How do they feel? They feel like they're falling behind. Get affordable mortgage financing with a fast process. They can buy a home and start building some wealth. Well, I've done some surveys and I talked to people and I found out that wealth building is one of those pain points. They feel like they're falling behind and they want to build something. So I'm going to talk to that pain point here. Does that make sense? Here's my short version. You know, anybody who owns a business, they talk about how hard it is for them to get a mortgage. One of the things I really love to do is help small business owners who feel like they should be investing in real estate, but they just haven't been able to get financing that's going to work for them. I'm a mortgage broker, so I can help my clients with all types of loans, like the typical stuff, but also with more creative outside the box solutions so that business owners can get into real estate, get passive income, and have that be part of a solid retirement plan. That took me about 29 seconds. Is that different than I'm a mortgage broker, I can get you the best rate and costs, right? Can you do this with a real estate agent thing? Absolutely do it. So notice what I did here? Do you know anybody? Do you know anyone that owns a business? They talk about how hard it is to get a mortgage, raise your hand. I do. Okay, so if I start with that question, am I going to, oh yeah, I know someone, especially if you're in an environment where people are listening, which if you're doing your 30 seconds, you're probably in some kind of a business networking event or meeting people in a formal situation. This is not what I'm going to tell my neighbor. And he goes, what do you do? Well, do you know someone that, right? I'm not going to launch in. Here's my longer version. So this is the Forbes Riley version. As a 27-year mortgage veteran mortgage broker, I'm known as the go-to for self-employed buyers because of the 17,000 homes I've helped people finance. For example, on Monday, I closed on a loan for a business owner. They were trying to buy a $2.5 million second home in Midway. They've been told they didn't qualify by other banks. We closed in just over 2 weeks. We got them a really great rate. Right now, what I'm doing is looking to connect with great professional real estate agents that want to help their high net worth self-employed buyers get excellent financing with a really simple, fast process. Does that make sense? So I'm hitting the story, I'm hitting the pain points, I'm telling you what I do. Now, if you don't know any high net worth people you're working with, you care about what I just said? Awesome. Because who did I just say I want to work with? High net worth self-employed people. Now, what if you do know someone who's a high net worth self-employed person and they've been having a hard time getting financing? Do you care about what I just said? Great, because now I can solve that problem. Does that make sense? So another person that told me this, Mike Burnett, again, same guy, he's like, good marketing should attract your target audience and repel everyone else. Have you thought about your marketing as a way to repel everyone else? Because if you're trying to catch all the fish in the sea, how many of those fish can you actually help? Are there fish you're going to catch in your net? They're going to be clock gobblers. They're going to take your time, resources, efforts, energy, life, call you at crazy hours, text you 1,000 times a day, but you can't help them. If you're trying to catch all the fish in the sea, I'm not talking about that. We know, right? But we got a special friend.
We do. We got one right now.
We got a special friend. So when you're catching all the fish in the sea, well, that's great, but how much time will it take you to sift through? And then are you going to work with people that you want to work with? Or are you going to work with everybody that's got a pulse? Now you're going to work with everybody that's got a pulse in this market, right? But do you want to go and attract everyone with a pulse? Or do you want to attract the people you want to work with and let the other people know maybe you're not the best place for them? But by the way, I guess if you want me to help you, I can give you some information. Well, I do this and somebody comes up and they go, well, I'm not self-employed, but I want, can you help? Can you work with people that aren't self-employed? Yeah, sure. I can help people that are self-employed. Does that make sense? So who do you want to work with? And Kimberly, this kind of goes to your question. Who do you want to work with? And how do you attract that group of people and let the people maybe that you aren't the right fit for just not take your time? Because your time is valuable. And the people, in my experience of doing this for a long time, is the most difficult, hardest people to work with are the ones that I cannot help. Those also tend to be the people who want the most access to my time, right? Universally. And do you want to attract more people you can't help that want access to your time? Or do you want to repel those people and attract more people that you can actually help? Obviously, we know the answer, so do that part. Okay, Matthew McConaughey. This was a Matthew McConaughey quote. You have to do the work early so you can play on the day. He's talked about this a lot. It was really interesting to me. This movie that he did, the first movie he did was called Dazed and Confused. You guys seen Dazed and Confused? It's an interesting movie. I liked it. He basically showed up and played himself. He's like a cool stoner dude from Texas who was hanging around, just chilling. He was well suited for the part. So he literally showed up, he read the script, he did the part, and he was great. He was great. So he figured that's how you do acting, right? By the way, he's a really smart guy. He'd gone to college, he had degrees, but that's just what he thought. So he gets cast in another play. It's a one-day shoot. He's like, this is how I do it. This is my method. My method is I show up. Because I know this guy, I know the character. I'm going to show up, just give me the stuff and I'll do it. Show up on the day. So he shows up on the day, and apparently he speaks some level of Spanish. He shows up on the day, and he's like, yeah, before we start, just give me let me take the side, take a look at the lines. He had a page and a half of Spanish as a monologue he was supposed to do. He had not memorized nor learned the page and a half of Spanish. He wasn't fluent in Spanish. So he's like, I need like 12 minutes. And he went and tried to like come up with it. And he's like, I've never watched the performance because it was terrible. He's like, I know I started out sounding terrible. I could never watch that because I failed. I didn't deliver. Because he figured you just show up and wing it. Does that make sense? How many of you have an opportunity to connect with people, show up and wing it? How often do we do that?
A lot.
All the time. All the time, right? We just assume I know how to do real estate. I can talk to people. I can introduce myself. I'm just going to show up and I'm just going to Matthew McConaughey this sucker, right? And that's okay. Here's the problem that I think we're encountering right now in our industry is the things that got us here will not keep us here, nor will they get us where we're trying to go next. The things we were able to do for the last 4 years to get to where we are right now will not work anymore. They won't. And they won't keep us here. They're not going to keep you in the industry. Agents who want to do what they've been doing, mortgage people who want to do what they've been doing for the last 4 years, they're not going to be around in 3 years. And I've seen this cycle multiple times. So what got you here won't keep you here. And it won't get you where you want to be going. So if you've been winging it, maybe this is an opportunity to say, okay, let's do something different. So write down on this. You're short, you're medium, you're long. I've given you some frameworks and formats. Go back and watch the video. I'm happy to be a resource and answer questions, be a sounding board. I'm sure Jeff would too. I'll volunteer time, Jeff. And then write these down and then practice it and then test it on somebody. Record yourself doing it and then watch it. Is that going to be uncomfortable? Is that going to be like trying to fold your arm the wrong way? Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. Do it, record yourself and then watch it and then show it to somebody else and say, what do you think about this? And then be ready for some really honest, open advice and critique, and then implement, and then practice, and then practice, and then practice. So the end story with Matthew McConaughey goes, I realized that I've got to have everything dialed in and memorized so much that I can show up and throw the script away. And then I can improvise because I already know my part. So he wrote a book called Green Lights. If you haven't read it and you like him as an actor, it's a pretty good book. He talked about the story of this. So practice, test, practice, test. And the ROI on this is massive. Because think about how many people you're going to talk to in the next 7 days, how many conversations you're going to have. And if you were ready for a simple introduction, and by the way, let's say you're somewhere where people don't naturally ask, so what do you do for a living? How can you create that conversation with one sentence?
That's amazing.
Right? You talk to somebody, hey, so what do you do? Oh, I do this, this, this. That's interesting. Oh, that's really cool. And then just wait. Be a little awkward because what's going to happen? Oh, so yeah, so what do you do, right? And now you can invite the conversation all the time if you're ready with something to say that's not, I'm a mortgage broker, right? So get these down, practice them, craft them, practice them, and then record your 30 and 60-second elevator pitch and stick it on pitch 59. Yep. Because now you've got your pitch 59 thing, right? Would that work?
Yeah, for sure.
You're the pitch 59 guru. I don't know as much about it.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, we actually got a class coming up on it.
Perfect. So get these ready, because then when you teach that class, now you got something you can record and use. And by the way, if you aren't going to use a software and you just want to have a way of introducing yourself to people, and you've recorded yourself saying one of these in a nice environment with a little soft background, and somebody introduces you to a client, what could you do with that recording you have? Just text them and say, hey, here's a quick introduction video to me. Call me when you're available. Instead of just, hey, I'm a real estate agent, I'd love to help you. You go, hey, here's just something about me. Call me when you're available. You can text them over your video. Would that work? A little more personal, right? That could be a cool tool to use. Again, just think, how can you use this tool differently than you used in the past? What can you do differently today to get where you want to be, to stay where you are, number one, and get where you want to go? It's going to be a little uncomfortable, different than you've done before. Big ROI, if you can do it. That's it.
Oh, I love it.
Nice. Sorry, I went 9 minutes long.
No, you're good. You're good. I liked the slide on starting with a question. Oh, you know people like this, because then you're identifying your target audience by just asking them. I've never even thought
People
about
who own land and they really like to know how to develop, they just don't know where to start. I saw that problem.
Well, you jumped right into answering the question.
Yeah.
Right. More direct. So I really like that. And then I also like the exercise of the avatar who we're talking to, because you refer this book a lot, The Power of One More by Ed Milet. He talks in there and says, you're the most qualified to help the person you used to be. Mm-hmm. That's applicable in a lot of contexts. But if you look at it in real estate, like I look at Ian, and Ian was my client and friend before he got his license, and now he's a real estate agent, but he was an investor, right? And he house stacked. He bought, lived in it for 18 months, kept it, bought another one, kept it, bought another one, kept it, bought another one. That's an avatar that you could also say, well, I've done that. You're looking for those people that have done, you know, or that want to do what you've done. Ashley, I use her as an example all the time. I tell her how she secured her retirement by the time she was 27 because she had 2 rental properties and she had a house that she lived in at 27 years old. How many people in their early 20s think I'm too young or I can't do it or the market's different for me now? It worked for you then and they need a guide to walk them through and say, well, I did it. Let me help you and show you. So speak to that person that just think of anything that has to do with real estate that you've done that somebody else wants to do. Right?
Well, and if you haven't done it,
So do it.
well, you know somebody who has, right?
Well, and
You don't be afraid to hinge off the experience of the other person in the room.
that's a good one. Use somebody else's stories. But when I said go do it, I mean, take people on your journey. Like if you want to do that, if you want 2 rentals in a home that you live in and secure your retirement at a young age, start talking about it. Say, I'm looking for my next rental, or I'm looking for my first rental or whatever. And people will say, me too. I want to do that too. And they'll go on the journey with you about that. Yeah. So thanks, Alan. That was amazing. For us here in person, you guys stay on Zoom. We've got a sponsor that's going to join us here and come up and introduce himself. He actually brought us lunch. Miss you guys that aren't here in person. Wish you could be here to network a little bit more. But Michael, come on up. Michael.cauley was actually introduced to me by Marchant, another agent on our team, and said, I just met this guy. He's got a unique business model. And he came in here and sat down. Your crew's already been to my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful house, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. So step right on over here. Introduce yourself. Ashley, just switch to a slide of yours. That's how you can connect with Michael. But very unique concept here that I would probably guarantee most of you have never heard about. So listen up.
Yeah, so One Home Solution, what we're doing is we're trying to bring handyman services and a new way for homeowners to maintain their biggest purchase that they're gonna make, their home, right? And so with One Home Solution, you have a one-stop shop for all your handyman services needs. Plus think of it as a Costco membership to maintain your home. And so, you know, with our membership, for our members, come standard, you get 4 quarterly seasonal appointments. We're coming out to the property and we're doing things that homeowners are not doing themselves. You know, flushing the water here twice a year, clearing drains, you know, changing the air filter, replenishing salt. We're assuming those responsibilities start in the quarterly. And then also the membership gives you other perks and benefits like handyman services that are prorated, you know, $70 an hour for any handyman service, big or small. So let's say you have a light bulb that goes out in your, you know, 20-foot ceiling and you don't want to get on a ladder, you don't want to change it. Who do you call? You know, you go to Angelus, you go to Thumbtack, you go down this rabbit hole trying to get someone at your property for a very, very small task just to not have it done. Well, you can go to One Home, book an appointment for a tech to come out, change the light bulb. Doesn't matter if we're there for 5 minutes or 5 hours, it's all prorated. So $70 per hour, we come out there for 5 minutes, you're only paying 5 minutes of our time to change that light bulb. What's your service area? One Home, so One Home Solution, we're servicing all of, so Utah, all of Park City, Camas and Heber, we're from Ogden to Utah County. We just opened up the Arizona market 2 months ago. And then we just doubled down on Arizona with opening up 2 more micro territories. We have 3 sales guys down there as well. We're looking to expand into California in Q1 and then Texas in Q2. And so personally, I believe that this product, you know, needs a lot of attention from realtors because right now, you know, I bought my home 2 years ago, last August in October. I got a home warranty. You know, the home warranty came and went before I could even use it. And as a first-time home buyer, you know, and I wish I had the One Home Solution. You know, the ability to know, you know, what I need to be doing. You know, I didn't know I was supposed to flush my water heater twice a year. I didn't know a lot of as a new homeowner, you don't know what to do to your home. And so if you have a company backing you, just taking care of it for you, you know, that's what we're trying to do.
Dude, you just listened to our whole class. That was amazing.
Was it?
Told the story, told about the results and the outcome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Actually,
Great.
he's got a pitch tonight.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
amazing. That's a minute on that video.
Yes,
It's
so-
really good.
With One Home Solution right now that we do have, we've made some changes since last time we talked. With our membership, it's either $500 for the year or $49 per month. One membership fits all, it fits my, small, 2,000 square foot house, and it fits, Jeff's 10,000 square foot house. It's the same price. And so that's one thing to take note. So if you have multiple, furnaces, you have more filters, more everything, it doesn't matter on the quarterlies, we're still gonna take care of all the materials, and we're gonna make sure your home is in top shape, throughout the year. And that way, you don't have to worry about, did I change that filter 6 months ago? You don't have to worry about the headache. But with our realtor specifically, we have two different programs. We have an affiliate program, and we also have a partner program. The affiliate program is if you want to make money from offering this membership to your clients. We'll pay you out a portion. Or if you just want a cool membership to offer to your clients and build a relationship with, if you sign up for the membership, then you get to offer the membership at a 50% discount to your past, present, and future clients. Currently, right now, I have several brokerages, title companies, offering this at closing in place of a home warranty, because it makes sense right now, especially on new builds. I don't need a home warranty on a new build. I don't see the value in that. But do I see the value in having somebody come out and maintain my house and giving back my batteries? Absolutely.
How'd that work for property now?
Great question. If you have, let's say you have 5 rentals, you want to sign them all up. Great, let's get them on. We are heavily app enabled, and you'll be able to toggle between your properties on the app. The landlord, if your tenant says, "Hey, my fridge is down," we already have, through the onboarding process, we already have your serial number. We already know what's on your house. We know how to maintain your home to your expectation, and so landlord gets that notice from their client that fridge is on the fritz or AC is on the fritz. Go to the One Home app, put in a request for it. Boom. You want us there tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We're there tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. There's no appointment window. We're by appointment. So, you know exactly what time we're going to show up. Don't have to wait around for a 2 to 4 hour appointment window, which was one of my biggest pet peeves. We're very busy. We live in a very busy world, and our time is valuable, and we can mitigate the little things. It just makes sense to me.
So for multiple units like that, back to Alan's question
Yeah.
about property management, is that treated the same as like a previous client type of sign up for monthly memberships per property? How's that work?
Yeah, so right now, if you were signing, let's say you had 5 properties and you wanted to sign them all up, we set up multiple properties at a discount rate, 50% off. And so you'd get all 5 of those properties on at $250 per property.
So, okay, so do you have to have the membership in order to call the handyman service? So let's say you just have somebody who's just like, I just need a handyman.
Yes,
Okay, so you gotta be a member.
they have to be a member.
You're like AAA. They won't come tell you until you're a member. Once you're a member.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
And so,
Thank you.
yeah, of course. Great question. Any other questions?
That's pretty cool. What is membership cost more time?
$500 for the year.
And then multiple properties.
Multiple properties, you get a 50% discount. And then after the first, if you have 5 properties, you want to sign up all 5 properties, I'm going to discount that at $250 for each one. If you want to be a part of either the affiliate program or the partner program, I'll work with you guys. I would offer the membership at 50% off. So $250 if you wanted to get us signed up for yours, and then you can offer it to all your clients.
That's $250 plus the service fee or the call fee.
So there's no call fee. So the only other additional fee is just the time. And so our in-house handyman, so they're all W-2 employees, they're $70 per hour. So if we come out to your property, it takes us 30 minutes. We send one technician, you're only paying $35.
So what about membership?
That all comes included.
So the $250, $500 buys this.
So to
That's one
clarify,
price.
yeah.
Wait, so I'm like trying to wrap my brain around this.
He's speaking to you like a 4th grader.
I know, and I'm just like, it's a second grade.
Yeah, it's a lot. Let me guys see it.
I've already looked into this, so I think I can dumb it down a little bit. So the membership is the year, and it seems too good to be true, but you're going, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense to me. Because they're gonna come out quarterly and they're going to actually change your filters and they're gonna cover the cost of the filter. And they're gonna do these things. That's your $250 or $500 fee for the year.
All that stuff?
Yeah,
All that stuff. what he's talking about hourly is like, hey, while they're there, they're gonna notice things, or you're gonna say, hey,
Might as well.
this has been bugging me for years, you know, this rain gutter downspout always floods right here, or
Right.
whatever, I need somebody to come and fix this. That's a handyman service, that's an appointment and a call through the app to get somebody to come and do.
So this is just one of the perks.
So 500 gets you those 4 seasonal things.
Correct.
And then if you need a handyman, it's 70 an hour prorated.
Correct.
So why wouldn't the landlord do this? I'm like trying to figure out what the catch is.
There's no catch.
You couldn't pay
I
somebody
can see that.
Yeah, like,
Where do I gotta show up?
if I got 5 homes, it's gonna cost me $1,500 for all 5 and have all this done.
Everybody reacts this way.
100%. 100%.
Will they be wrong?
I did the same thing, sitting across my table, I'm like.
$70 an hour.
What was the question?
You drop stuff off at the dry cleaner and all this other.
We don't do tasks. We don't run errands. Great question. But
So
I like
what
it.
about
Yeah,
HOA?
No.
HOAs,
Yeah,
in what capacity?
well, I'm on HOA
Yeah.
board, we got like 64 units.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got rain gutters, they're always having us to try to fix and do this, do that, and that, I mean. We could do like the 250 or something like that for all the people in the HOA.
100%.
Yeah.
All day long. You know, with that many properties, you know, it might even cut you in a better deal.
Ah,
You know,
better.
because that at the end of the day, you know, if everybody in HOA has one home, you know, and you know, there's a violation or anything, you know, they don't need to go online to find it. They don't need to do it themselves. They just call one home or just book it in the app. It just gets done.
So you could maybe come like once a quarter and just do all of them all at once.
Yeah, so the
Like the
quarterlies.
Curtis building.
Yeah, so it is by, so the homeowner has to put that request in. And so it'd be individual appointments for everybody in the HOA. It probably wouldn't get done all at once. And so it would, because it's all heavily app based, but we've made the app super user friendly. Like, I'm talking, you know, my 10-year-old can put in a work order for like,
Yeah.
and so.
So an agent becomes an affiliate, and then for $250, they could say, hey, a gift to you at closing is I'm gonna take care of your maintenance for the next year on your home, you're just fine.
And that's a beautiful relationship tool right there.
Well, and it's with me, they always want me because I'm the construction guy.
Right.
Hey, when you put your money, you gotta make it, you this, and you, hey. Here,
Right.
I got a deal for it.
Exactly.
Or, you know, and there's a lot of old people and single women
100%.
and stuff, so, yeah.
You know, I signed up a lady out in Lehigh. She has a condo that she bought.
Is it great?
You know, she's widowed. She you know wanted things done around her house that she just can't do. She wanted her door painted, or she can't lift the 40-pound bags of salt. Yeah, that stuff gets heavy.
Yeah.
You know, and so we're assuming all those things. And then also part of it, if you have the booklet in the one home guidebook, I want to say like the 3rd page where it shows the membership has a list of all the member benefits. You know, one of the benefits on here is 100% free site visit quotes. You want to know how much it is to remodel your bathroom? Cool, book it in the app. We'll come out for free and give you an assessment. We'll bid it out, whether it's in-house or outsourced.
We're all like.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes.
So if I want to sign all 5 of my little properties, you do first, it's just
Residential only, right?
okay, so if I want to sign up all 5 of my properties, it's on the app, first I become an affiliate.
No, easy enough. All you do is download the app and I can send you an affiliate link. But you just go download the app and create a new account for all 5 properties, because right now we don't have the toggle view for multiple per property. It's being built out in the app right now. That's scheduled to be done by the end of the year. But so you would have to have, as of right now, you have to have multiple emails. It's a little new, you know, a headache to do that, but we can work through that. But yeah, you'd be at $250 per property.
I think you got quiet.
Yeah, to me, it's no brainer. Like I said,
It sounded like a no-brainer to everybody, which makes us all go.
so there's the sheet in there, the second sheet in there that has it has our competitors. Like our competitors are the DIY. So that sheet that he's looking at right now is like DIY, you know, or handyman services. You know, One Home is the only company that's doing this. Like taking the headache off of homeowners, giving them options, and giving them basically a Costco membership to maintain their home. Because we all have a Costco membership to buy the bigger bag to get the discount. Why wouldn't you have a maintenance company maintain the biggest purchase that most of us are gonna buy. You know, a home.
I have a question. Do you have like a reminder system? So to remind people to schedule,
quarterly?
so that they don't just go through the whole year and like be like, oh, I forgot that I had that service, especially if we're gifting it
Yeah.
to them. I don't wanna let them waste it.
Absolutely. So currently right now, until it gets built out in the app, we're currently sending emails at the beginning of the quarter to remind customers to book their quarterly. And that will be a push notification in the app that just says, hey, it's time to book your quarterly. And it'll be push notifications until they book it. Because just to your point, you know, this does nothing for them if they're not remembering to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
And if you just got a whole home, like. There's so much else going on.
so much
Like,
going on. And next thing you know, it's your.
I didn't even realize my first time I had a home warranty until after.
Yeah.
It was gone. Like, what are all these people calling about?
Exactly, and also with you know, most home warranties, they're going up in price right now. You know, I think it was IBEX raised it to 700.
Yeah.
You know, and these warranties are going up, even the deductibles are going up. I think it's like at $85 now on IBEX.
All I have to say is smart man for coming up with this and pretty much. I don't know, it's genius.
You know, and it really is.
He's like, I know.
I wish I could take credit for being the I did.
Yeah.
I just managed to sell.
Is there any conversation about making the app or making some of this information white labeled or
Yeah.
co-branded? So like Shannon James want to refer it out. When they go on the app, they can see Shannon James every quarter when they see it, remind them, oh, this is a gift from Shannon James.
Yes, we are having those conversations. We've had several people, you know, come to us, talk to us about white label aesthetic quality. And so instead of when they open the one home app, they don't see
Like gift building would have like the courtesy of Shannon James
correct,
or James and Shannon, I don't know.
correct.
Well, the same thing that I was thinking. You know, it gives us every quarter, it gives us another touch point with our clients.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right now, you know, the people that I'm talking to are realtors, title companies. A big one is insurance companies. I have insurance companies because, you know, a lot of them, like the farmers, the AmFam, all these, they talk to their clients quarterly. You know, and so this is a great tool for them as well. You know, and hopefully what we want to see a shift in the market where, you know, I get a discount on my insurance for having a security system in my house. Why wouldn't I get a discount for having a professional company maintain the property?
Yeah.
It's gonna maintain the property, it's not gonna go to, you know, things are gonna get done, so you should be getting discounts on this stuff. So hopefully we're gonna make a shift in that market as well.
Also, like with what you just said, Shannon, like the co-branding there, I spend $100 a year on each client of mine. On quarterly send outs. And it's nice because I don't have to think about it or anything, it just goes out, it has my name attached to it. You know, I forget the name of it. But they give out little gifts, anyways, this is a much more practical gift.
Yeah,
Last month was salt in a
Mhm.
little scooper.
100%.
I mean, it's nice, but the thing is, like, I'm in front of them again, and
Yes.
so if this is done, if I do it yearly.
Exactly.
Don't
you know,
mind
for
me.
the client. And get like, figure out something like that, and I'm always in front of them.
Yeah, we're having those conversations, you know, we've been building this out for the last 3 years. And so we're still a new company, but prior to this, we managed a huge portfolio of rental properties in Park City, and that's where we're based. We sold off the entire portfolio.
So you know what the numbers are gonna be to run this thing.
Yeah, we have the data, and that's why, you know, the board saw that this is a bigger need than property management. And so we sold off the entire portfolio and everything's going into this.
God, it looks like Eric has a question.
Yeah, I just saw that when I came over to the computer. Eric, was that your hand up from Alan's presentation?
No, it's from this one.
Go, buddy.
Yeah, I was just curious on the maintenance that is included. Does that include like tankless water heater flushes and also winterizing sprinklers?
So it includes the tankless flush. Winterizing sprinklers is going to be a handyman service. So during the quarterlies in the app, I can actually show this. So each quarter on the app, it will have, the first thing that you see is, let me just log in real quick, is the current quarter that is up. As you can see, where's your camera at? So you have this quarterly, but it has other services like cleaning gutters or blowing the sprinklers out. Those are going to be add-ons separate from the quarterly. And so each season, we're going to have other common things that people book during that season, and that's what we're going to be promoting. But yeah, you should show the pitch 59 videos.
You're not charging a trip fee, so I'm gonna have somebody come and change a battery in the thing in the ceiling that's 30 feet tall. You're not charging me a trip fee to show up. Or
no,
whatever.
but we changed smoke detector batteries on the quarterly. You don't have to worry about that ever again.
I was thinking about my drapes that I can't get to.
Perfect. Yeah, you take a picture, we show up, we change it route, it takes 10 minutes.
It's whatever it is, you're not charging a client a trip fee.
Nope.
You're literally, how much time are you in the property, that's it.
Correct.
So you have height requirements then?
What?
Height requirements?
One more time.
So if I got a
No.
50-foot ceiling.
Not inside, we do have some outside requirements right now, on like gutters and stuff, 2 stories. We're working through that as the need comes up, but I don't foresee it being an issue in the future.
So you have a handyman rate, whereas you have a construction rate that's separate than that?
No, because all of our handymen are licensed general contractors.
So you bid out the project.
So I could bid out a project as a general contractor and have sub the stuff out to you to do it.
In theory, you could.
Okay.
We're gonna talk off camera about that. Okay, guys, I'm gonna play his pitch card for you. It'll just kind of 2 things. Pitch 59 is gonna be in our office in 2 weeks. It's a tool that I've been using lately. Actually, you came into my office and I showed it to you, right? So this is what this tool does. It allows it and it makes it easier for businesses to get referrals, right? If you wanted to share this as a value add to your other real estate agent friends, send them this pitch card. It's kind of dual purpose. You're also showing them what a pitch card can do. Because before I play his video, if I wanted to share him, I would click on share. Look at all these. Oh, this is not showing the 3-way introduction. On the web, yeah, web's a little bit different than the app. On the app, if I click share, it pulls up a 3-way introduction that already has his phone number in it and his message, the way he wants to be introduced, already written out. I just have to add in there, hey, Alan, add your contact on there and hit send. Boom. Now I've connected 2 people instead of just told you about somebody that has a service. Another way to do it is just share, the pitch card, which comes on the introduction as well.
Right.
But I'm going to play this so you can kind of see what it is. It goes right along with Alan's presentation today about creating that pitch. Who are you? What do you do? What problem do you solve? That kind of stuff. And you guys did an amazing job on this.
Thank you.
Right?
Our videographer was all.
Yeah, I said, dude, who did your video? All he said is, we got a guy. He's like, I don't share him. We got a guy.
I can share with you.
I'll go. Okay, let's see if this works. I should be sharing the sound too.
Let me show you something pretty cool. And just like that, I scheduled a home maintenance appointment with One Home Solution. What is One Home Solution? It's a member-based, tech-enabled, all-in-one home maintenance and repair company. We're like DoorDash, fast and reliable, mixed with Costco, affordable, and your primary care doctor, a jack of all trades, but all for your home. We take the guesswork out of who do I call by centralizing home maintenance with our team of professionals. We provide free seasonal services, low hourly rates, and 100% quality guarantee. So whether you've got a pesky to-do list or a host of recurring services, One Home is your solution. My name is Michael. Contact me today and I'll help you make your home maintenance a whole lot easier and a whole lot more enjoyable.
Bam.
It only took like 24 takes. And I never want to be there.
Well, that's something we found out with Pitch 59. So I'm actually working with my videographer and stuff. Is sometimes people will get these, like I got one, and I didn't even put a video on it for months. But I had Jeff Bitton, the CEO and the founder of Pitch 59, come in to do a training, and he had said, "Hey, I'm going to use your pitch card as an example." I'm like, "Oh, yeah." So I heard and shot something on my selfie stick, right? But I didn't love it enough to share. So take what Alan taught us today, work out your pitch, even if it is on an iPhone, if you stood in front of a camera like this and you did better than nothing, right? Here's the cool thing though, is like, look, I don't have to explain what Michael does. I can share this card with somebody, he's explaining it the way he knows it needs to be explained so they understand it, and I've made an introduction. Same thing for all of us as agents, having one of these, and that's why I'm doing another class in 2 weeks here on this, is it's not only a tool for you to get more referrals, because how many of you run into previous clients and say, oh man, I loved it when we worked together, I refer you all the time. All my neighbors know about you, my friends, and you're thinking in your head, nobody's called me. I haven't met one of them, right? Does that happen? So it makes it easier for them to do that, and you get to introduce yourself to their friends, but it also has a back end analytics that you know when they did it and stuff like that. So it's really, really super cool. Thanks, Michael. Great for obviously. Yeah, and we're gonna have lunch. So Ashley says I got some other slides. Oh, there's just the upcoming classes. You can use the QR code if you're online. To get to the registration page.
That's super smart.
And yes, there's also a subscribe on all the registration pages, I think have a button you can subscribe so we can notify you about future trainings. So that's all we got for today. Love you guys. Reach out if I can do anything for you, and we'll talk soon.
It's the downside.
And that's the thing, it's.
I